is the 77 WABC minicast.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. Obviously, the big topic is Iran. And it seems just when you think it's over, it starts again. To me, it's a situation where we are doubling down and the other side is doubling down, and then we're meeting them and we're doubling down. It seems to be getting more complicated. And a path forward seems more obscure for me. And then you have the firing on a tanker today. So let's get some truth, unbiased truth about what's going on. We have Colonel Jack Jacobs to discuss the latest in Iran. As you know, the colonel is retired colonel from the United States Army, Medal of Honor recipient for his actions during the Vietnam War, 2 Silver Stars, 3 Bronze Stars, 2 Purple Hearts. That is just amazing. You want to talk about an American hero. Colonel, good to be with you. We blockade, they blockade. I see your blockade. I raise you a blockade. You try to pass my blockade. I bomb your tanker. But we're on our way to have peace talks. Unlikely timing for peace talks when we've just seen this recent escalation. Where are we, Colonel?
Well, everybody thought it was going to be smooth sailing. The market skyrocketed at the end of the week because the administration announced that there was going to be a ceasefire, and there was a ceasefire in Lebanon and so on. And, of course, as you just described, all this stuff happens. There are a couple of things to keep in mind here. The first is that per the administration's announcement, Vance is on his way over to Pakistan to participate in talks. It's interesting that Vance is involved and has been the last 2 times we talked about this, because Vance is more trusted than anybody else who's been sent, more trusted by the Iranians than, not that he's trusted at all, but he's more trusted than anybody else been sent there before to talk with intermediaries in Pakistan to get all this done. So that's one positive note, and one of the reasons why things have been look like they were easing towards the end of the week. The second thing to keep in mind is that Iran in particular is a very complicated place in terms of its control. There's, as we've discussed, a symbiotic relationship between the Republican Guards on the one hand and the mullahs on the other, and they control the country and so on. But we have to remember that every organization, but particularly bureaucratic organizations like the ones we're talking about, where there are diverse interests going up and down the chain of command, you're sometimes going to wind up with results that are not anticipated as people up and down the chain of command decide to do what they want to do, or what they think they've been instructed to do and have misinterpreted. I'm not saying that the attempt by the Iranian flagged commercial ship, which, by the way, has been implicated in a wide variety of nefarious things in the past, wasn't under instructions to go ahead and test out the American blockade, but they've done it, and it's possible that the decision to do that was not made in Tehran, was not even made perhaps lower down on the chain of command. It was maybe made extemporaneously by people very far down the chain of command. Nevertheless, it seems to have created a roadblock. But once you keep this all in perspective, both the United States and Iran want to see this ended. As a matter of fact, one indication that the United States want to see it ended is what happened in Lebanon, where Netanyahu is under tremendous public pressure to carry on eliminating Hezbollah, but stopped anyway, engaged in a ceasefire, under pressure from the American administration, because without a ceasefire in Lebanon, Hezbollah will continue to be attacked. And we have to remember that Hezbollah is a proxy of Iran, and Iran wouldn't do anything positive until Hezbollah was relieved of the pressure on it by the Israelis. All very complicated, but at the end of the day, that we have to take everything that's said on both sides of the aisle, both from the United States standpoint and from the Iranian standpoint, with a grain of salt when we consider the midterm prospects of a possible end to hostilities. It sounds complicated, and it is, but that's because there are a lot of players up and down the chain of command, like I said, who are sticking their oars in the water, pardon the pun, since we're talking about a naval blockade and all that. There are a lot of people involved in it, making decisions up and down the chain of command, Governor.
So you think, Colonel, forget the I see your blockade, I double down on my blockade, I fire on your tanker. Both sides want out. The president wants out. Politically, this is unsustainable. And there is a deal to make because both sides are suffering. What's really left on the table for this country on a deal besides the uranium enrichment and the elimination of a nuclear threat? Isn't that really the only piece?
Yeah. That's a very interesting question, because you're right. Both sides want out. The president in particular wants out, at least partially because this is a real drain in a wide variety of ways. And we have to remember that the midterms are popping up soon. And there's dissension among Republicans about whether or not this was a good idea to start with, and moreover, whether or not it ought to be continued. So there's lots of pressure on Washington from Republicans, to say nothing of Democrats, that this thing be ended. But you're right about about what's left on the table. It's worth considering. First is the whole nuclear business. If we take at face value the assertions that the processing capability of the Iranians has been, if not decimated, then completely destroyed, that the majority of the fissile material is under tons of dirt and rock at Isfahan, and it's probably true, then there's no need. I mean, you can consider this. This is just me thinking. There's no need necessarily for Iran to turn over fissile material because, A, it's going to be the devil's own job to get it out there, and B, for us to be satisfied that the Iranians are not going to use it, we don't have to have them turn it over, even if they could get it, because we have eyes on the subject. And the instant that Iranians try to start digging their way into it, you can bet that we'd probably drop some explosive projectiles on top of them and prevent them from doing it. So as much as the nuclear question was near the top of the page at the beginning of this war, it's probably less significant now because it's something that can probably be managed by threats, by supervision and intelligence, and the expectation on the part of the Iranians that we're going to attack them if they try to get it. The second thing that's of significance here that the administration has made a big deal of was regime change. And we've talked about this before. That's probably not going to happen. There's no need for the Iranians to change the regime. That is the structure of their government. No matter how many people in chain of command are killed, no matter what the administration says. I mean, this isn't regime change. What's transpired is the moving up of a wide variety of people who are lower in rank now to positions of authority. And we know ourselves, particularly people who've served in combat and have seen low-ranking people seize the reins of authority and responsibility to get things accomplished. We know from experience that it almost doesn't matter how many high-ranking people you kill. At the end of the day, the administration of the government's not going to change unless there's some sort of revolt from inside the army. So that's not going to change. And if the American administration insists that there will be regime change, it's not going to be able to impose it from outside. Those two things were the major objectives of the attack on Iran, keeping them from developing nuclear weapons, at least for a while. That's probably going to be successful. Regime change, probably not going to be successful enough for a long period of time unless there's a revolt inside the revolutionary core. Governor.
So everybody wants peace. Iran is suffering economically. The U.S. is suffering economically and politically. There will be no regime change. The question will be, can we make a deal where America believes we were successful in keeping a nuclear weapon out of the hands of the Iranian government? And if so, for how long? Colonel, thank you very, very much. As usual, you have brought intelligence and clarity and transparency to what is a really unfolding and complicated topic. Good to be with you.
Thanks so much, Governor, for having me on the program.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. We'll take a break. Don't go away. We still have to figure out if this is possible.